The Galactic Council delivered its verdict with a calmness that felt colder than any weapon they could have deployed. Humanity was to be exiled beyond the frontier, erased from the map of civilized space under the pretense of preserving galactic stability. The chamber's crystalline floor reflected every emotionless face, every indifferent gesture, as if the whole institution took pride in its own cruelty. Human representatives stood silent, not from acceptance, but from the shock of how casually their fate had been sealed. The council claimed humanity expanded too quickly, learned too fast, and refused to fit neatly into the hierarchy that had governed the stars for millennia. Behind their diplomatic phrasing hid a deeper fear. A species that adapted under pressure threatened the stagnant comfort of ancient powers. The exile order unfolded with mechanical efficiency. Entire populations were directed toward generational ships lined up around the solar system like a forced migration corridor. Alien warships hovered nearby, their weapons primed, not to kill, but to ensure obedience. As millions boarded vessel after vessel, Earth remained suspended in the distance, a glowing reminder of everything they were being denied. There was no violence, no open rebellion, only a quiet realization shared by every human watching their home shrink into a blue dot. This was not an ending, but an imposed beginning. Generations of rhetoric about unity and equal representation had evaporated with a single vote. Leaving the cradle of humanity was more painful than any battlefield loss. Yet within that pain lived a resolve that no alien council could quantify. Titan-class transports carried families, soldiers, engineers, and thinkers into the uncharted dark. During the final transmission before the fleet crossed the forbidden boundary, a captain whispered across all channels, "We don't die in the dark. We build in it." His words were never officially recorded, but they spread instinctively through the fleet, becoming a quiet promise that transcended rank, social status, and belief. The new frontier was not a destination, it was a trial. Humanity entered star systems unlisted on any map, regions filled with radiation storms, anomalies that shredded unshielded hulls, and gravitational distortions that defied established physics. Every mistake cost lives, but every loss forced improvement. Engineers dismantled alien-made constraints and rebuilt systems to withstand hazards the Council never even studied. Terraformers adapted barren rocks into small but sustainable habitats. Medical teams invented new treatments for unknown infections by combining human biology with field improvisation. Society reorganized itself around survival, efficiency, and innovation, leaving behind the politics that once slowed progress. Where elder species saw chaos, humanity saw a canvas. New modular cities rose from asteroid clusters. Trade networks formed between scattered ships until the fleet operated like a single distributed organism. Children born in exile grew up with no memory of Earth, but with a fierce conviction that adversity was simply part of their identity. Command structures evolved into a meritocracy supported by transparency and purpose. Nothing was wasted, not time, not resources, not knowledge. Every hardship transformed into a stepping stone, shaping a culture more capable than anything left behind in Council space. Then came the discovery that altered human destiny forever. A deep-range exploration vessel detected energy pulses from a region dismissed by alien star charts as unstable and uninhabitable. Investigation revealed a colossal structure drifting on the edge of a gravitational storm, a silent ring composed of materials unknown to any database. Its surface shifted with impossible symmetry, as though it existed in multiple states simultaneously. The crew initially believed it to be a derelict station. Closer inspection uncovered glyphs and patterns hinting at a civilization older than anything catalogued by the Council. When humanity's best engineers and scientists arrived, they realized the structure was not a station but a gateway, a technological relic capable of bending dimensional layers into traversable pathways. It was a route not just to distant sectors, but to entirely different spatial layers untouched by any modern species. While the Council exiled humanity to bury them, they had unknowingly sent them directly toward a forgotten inheritance of cosmic significance. The structure defied every known physical law, yet humans deciphered it through relentless experimentation, not ancient knowledge. Their hunger to understand what others ignored gave them an advantage no one had predicted. Activating the gateway was a defining moment, a shift so profound it rewrote humanity's trajectory. Light spiraled through the ring, unveiling passageways to realms unreachable through conventional means. On the other side lay worlds unspoiled, resources limitless, and space unconstrained by traditional star map boundaries. Humanity stepped through with awe, not fear, realizing they now possessed access to infinity itself. What began as a scattered exile transformed rapidly into coordinated expansion. Outposts evolved into fortresses, colonies into metropolises, and the once fragmented fleet into the backbone of a rising empire. The Eternal Empire formed not from ambition, but from necessity, forged by a species that refused extinction. Gateways became arteries of a civilization stretching across realities. Defensive networks turned into unified governance. Innovations accelerated beyond anything conceivable under the Council's restrictions. Humans who once fled under escort now commanded domains that no ancient species had ever dreamed of reaching. Exile had not broken humanity. It had elevated them. And as their power grew, so did a silent truth shared across every world they claimed. One day, they would return to the galaxy that cast them out, not as refugees, but as pioneers who had mastered the infinite. Humanity's rise unfolded over centuries, not through conquest, but through relentless expansion across the dimensional pathways unlocked by the Eternal Gate. Each new realm revealed physics that twisted and reshaped conventional understanding. Human architects built cities anchored in multiple layers at once, their structures shimmering as they phased between states. Entire sectors operated through synchronized quantum fields, allowing communication and travel without delay. What began as scattered colonies matured into a unified dominion that no longer depended on a single physical plane. The Eternal Empire became a civilization that operated seamlessly across realities, with a capital, Eternus Prime, constructed at the intersection of three stable dimensions. From this nexus, governance, defense, research, and exploration spread outward with precision. Humanity had transformed exile into mastery, turning isolation into an advantage that no other species could match. Their military evolved with equal sophistication. Warships no longer resembled traditional vessels. Instead, they existed in overlapping forms, able to slip between dimensional layers instantly. Pilots trained to operate in environments where time could stretch or compress unpredictably. Armor forged from quantum lattice composites allowed soldiers to withstand anomalies that would vaporize ordinary matter. These advancements were not symbols of aggression, but safeguards built from the hard lessons of the frontier. The Eternal Empire grew cautious, disciplined, and patient, never forgetting the day it had been cast out. Yet no campaign was launched toward Council space. Humanity had no need for revenge. Expansion into infinite realms made territorial disputes obsolete. The first meeting between humanity and the Council after exile happened by accident. A small Council scout ship, exploring a border anomaly, slipped through a dimensional rift and emerged near one of the Empire's gate cities. Expecting primitive survivors clinging to outdated technology, the crew instead found towering structures suspended in shifting light, surrounded by fleets moving in silent, impossible formations. Human vessels approached not with hostility but with controlled confidence. Their designs carried no resemblance to the old Sol-era ships the Council remembered. Diplomats contacted the startled scout, their tone calm yet undeniably firm. They offered assistance, stabilized the ruptured space around the vessel, and escorted it safely back through the rift. Every moment was intentional, the first demonstration of power delivered without threat. The footage sent back to the Council shattered its illusion of superiority. Leaders viewing the transmission reacted with disbelief, then alarm. Analysts confirmed the images had not been manipulated. The technology displayed surpassed anything in recorded history. Discussions erupted with frantic urgency. Some argued that humanity had become a galactic threat, requiring immediate containment. Others insisted the Council's own actions had created the very force they now feared. Attempts to propose defensive coalitions collapsed under the realization that no fleet could counter human capabilities. Old rivalries resurfaced as species blamed one another for the flawed decision to exile a civilization capable of such evolution. Accusations turned into panic when additional intelligence revealed how far the Eternal Empire had expanded. Entire sectors bordering the frontier reported unusual energy signatures consistent with gate activity. A few council members suggested diplomacy, but others rejected the idea, haunted by the possibility of retaliation. Meanwhile, archival documents resurfaced from earlier centuries, warnings written by xenologists who had predicted exactly this outcome. Their analyses described human adaptability as a variable foreign to the Council's rigid psychological matrices. Humanity's potential to accelerate under adversity had been dismissed at the time as exaggeration. Now those ignored reports read like prophecy. Humanity did not wait for the Council to decide its response. A dimensional rupture opened near the Council's capital system, stable and deliberate. Through it emerged a human fleet of colossal scale, each ship radiating energy patterns beyond any known classification. They did not activate weapons or posture for battle. They simply appeared with an authority that rendered resistance meaningless. The flagship, a monumental construct woven through several spatial layers, remained stationary while envoys transmitted a single message. Humanity had returned not as supplicants, but as equals demanding recognition. Their words carried no threat, yet the implications were undeniable. They had outgrown the boundaries the Council once used to define civilization. Council defenses attempted to organize, but the human presence distorted local space-time, neutralizing targeting systems without damaging a single vessel. The demonstration was controlled, precise, and unmistakably intentional. It communicated dominance while maintaining restraint. Across the galaxy, species watching the event understood that the era of Council supremacy had ended. Younger civilizations, weary of ancient hierarchies, began discreet contact with human envoys, drawn by the promise of innovation and opportunity through access to gate networks. Humanity introduced the Eternal Accord, a framework offering cooperation, shared technology, and access to limitless new worlds in exchange for mutual respect and transparent governance. The Council had no leverage to refuse and no ability to resist. Even its most powerful factions recognized that the only path forward was acceptance. Submitting to the Accord did not feel like surrender, but rather acknowledgement of a future shaped by a species that had earned its ascendancy through hardship, ingenuity, and endurance. Across infinite realms, humanity established a system that prevented the stagnation that once plagued the galaxy. Oppressed species found refuge. Rivalries dissolved as expansion into endless space removed the scarcity that once fueled conflict. The Eternal Empire became a stabilizing force, not through intimidation, but through capability unmatched by any known civilization. Its existence proved that exile had not destroyed humankind, it had liberated it from constraints, revealing strengths the Council never imagined. Humanity's return marked the beginning of a new age, not forged through conquest, but through the undeniable power of a species that refused to be erased. The galaxy entered an era shaped by those who had mastered the infinite, and remembered exactly who cast them into it.